These are the first Tau units I've bought now that I'm getting back into the hobby after 17 years away. I haven't played since I was a kid. Bought these secondhand miniatures on eBay because it's just as expensive as I remember, and decided to go with Tau this time because they look awesome, and I guess I'm a little bit of an otaku and just had a soft spot for the mechs. Really love these Crisis battle suits. These are just so cool. They give me exactly the kind of mecha-inspired look that I really wanted to go for. This lot that I bought came with 3 battle suits. It also came with 2 XV8 battle suits. Unfortunately, minis have some broken bits too, and I got a bunch of Fire Warriors, but one of them was broken as well. For now, I'm happy. So I bought these secondhand miniatures, and it's the first time I've bought miniatures for Warhammer 40,000 in, I don't know, 20 years almost. I'm really excited to have them. I've got a few more Beyond What's Here, but they're broken, just like these have their weapons missing. I think one has a tail missing too. And I'm already thinking about, as I'm going off the deep end, how I want to display them and how I want to store them. For display, I got these trays, and I'm hoping to magnetize the bases of these guys so that they stick to these trays, which I should be able to fit 4 of them in here. So what did I buy as I'm getting back into the wargaming hobby after 17 years away from it? Well, I got a few Tau, 3 Crisis suits, 2 Stealth battle suits, and a unit of Fire Warriors, and these funny Space Marines on horseback because, well, I thought they were funny. Some broken miniatures that came with those. These bins to put them in. This set of art supplies. Don't mind the pill bottle, I just have depression. This set of Vallejo acrylic paints, which I'm very nervous about painting again because I never was that good of it. I made a controversial choice and got a red primer because I know I want my Tau to be predominantly red, but I haven't primed a mini in so long, and the box that I have for it feels a little small, so it's gonna be interesting to try it, but I'm gonna give it a shot. These are the first miniatures I bought now that I'm getting back into Warhammer after 17 years away from the hobby. They came pre-assembled. I just need to paint them, but first I need to prime them. We need a glove. Minis. Start nice and easy with 5 Fire Warriors. Don't mean to be spraying with my gloved hand, but I'm trying to film at the same time, so this will do for now. We're gonna shake some more, do a little test spray. That looks good. Do the first pass on camera. Hey, yeah, they were getting somewhere. All right, gonna jump in and finish it up. I tried to use my pill bottle, but I don't have poster putty yet, so I had to do it by hand. And just like that, I have my first primed minis in 17 years. I had a really good time with the first 5, so I decided to do another 4. The last remaining one is broken, so it's not done yet. But here we go. My first almost full squad of Fire Warriors have been primed. Guess I just need to know how long they need to dry for. I bought these Tau as I'm getting back into 40K after 17 years away from the hobby. I already primed my first set of Fire Warriors, minus one that was broken, but now I need to prime the rest of the units that I have so far. So let's start by grabbing the minis, putting them on a tray, grabbing the Primetime primer box that I put together, taking everything to my balcony outside, shaking up the primer can, and let's get spraying. Wait, I need a glove. Got the glove. Now the minis are sprayed. Trying to get a little bit better coverage this time because I noticed some uneven spread when I last did my primer on the Fire Warriors. And here we go. Here are the Crisis suits and Stealth battle suits all primed up. Now they can go sit with my Fire Warriors, and I just have to worry about the next step, painting them. I do have one question though. Does anyone know why my primer bottle is so hard to spray? I don't know if it's just that my fingers are weak or I'm doing something wrong. Let me know. I did a terrible job painting my first miniature, and I'm trying to figure out where I went wrong. This Fire Warrior is the first mini I've painted in over 17 years after getting back into Warhammer last week. I decided to build a Tau army and came up with custom lore for a contingent within the Farside enclaves. I wanted to go for a red and gold color scheme with some black and metallic details and green highlights for anything energetic or bright. I also wanted to try to do the blue skin for the Tau feet. I was really nervous to start painting again. I picked up a bunch of painting supplies to try to help me out, including a wet palette, which I've never used before, and got my whole area set up for painting. Light was an immediate issue. I tried to brighten up my space as best as I could, but I just threw on some Play on Tabletop and got started. Of course, the first thing I did was forget to shake my paints or use my painting handle. I'd been watching tutorials and I tried to keep watching some to help me out, but right away I could tell tell that I was having problems. Looking back, I think I wasn't controlling the consistency of my paint well. I didn't know what to look for and didn't know how to tell whether the paint was the right consistency for a base coat. Not only that, but my brushwork was sloppy. I wasn't really implementing any techniques. I think I probably just consumed too many tutorials and couldn't really keep up with executing well on any of the fundamentals. I could tell things were going wrong even as I was painting. I think part of what threw me is the wet palette. You can see that I probably soaked it too much, looking at how much the paints have thinned from being on there for a while. I tried to keep going and block out the other colors, but I think I was also impatient with my layering, and ultimately the mini turned out pretty sloppy. I don't really consider this a finished result. I do plan to go back and improve it. I think it's pretty normal that the first time I sit down to paint a mini in almost 20 years doesn't turn out great. Honestly, I still had a really good time doing it. I'm going to keep working on it and paint my way through my first squad of Fire Warriors, trying to get a little bit better with each one. If you have any tips or advice for me, please let me know. I'd love to give your suggestions a try. Clearly, I really need the help. I did a terrible job painting my first miniature, and I'm trying to figure out where I went wrong. This Fire Warrior is the first mini I've painted in over 17 years after getting back into Warhammer last week. I decided to build a Tau army and came up with custom lore for a contingent within the Farside Enclaves. I wanted to go for a red and gold color scheme, with some black and metallic details and green highlights for anything energetic or bright. I was really nervous to start painting again, so I picked up a wet palette, which I never used before, and set my whole area up for painting. Looking back, it seems like I wasn't controlling the consistency of my paint well. There were also plenty of other problems like my sloppy brushwork, but I think part of what threw me was the wet palette. I tried to keep going and block out the other colors, but I think I was also impatient with my layering, and ultimately the mini turned out pretty sloppy. I don't really consider this a finished result. I still want to go back and keep working on it, but I did have a great time doing it. I'm going to keep painting the rest of my Fire Warriors, so if you have any tips or advice for me, let me know because I can really use the help. I sniped an eBay auction to get a leader for the Tau army that I started now that I'm coming back to Warhammer 40K after 17 years away. I've been reading up on the lore and I really wanted to get Commander Farsight for my unit. He's a badass mecha rebel that's possibly demon corrupted. What's not to like? I looked around on eBay and I found this listing. Commander Farsight retails for $65, but there's a lot of discount sites out there where you can get them for at least 20% off on a permanent basis. So I was trying to get them for less. I came into this auction at the last second because nobody's getting in between me and my Gundam, and I won the auction. Unfortunately, it came out to $51 plus tax, which is right around that 20% mark I didn't want to be at. But it's pre-assembled, which is going to help me out because I still haven't picked up all the tools I need to assemble minis. And regardless, I really wanted this named character for my army. That's why. This is the first mini I've painted in 17 years, and it didn't turn out great. I'm trying to do better with my second one, going to actually use my painting handle, starting my base coating with the black this time because those are the deeper recesses. I think has helped the mini be a lot neater, but I'm still struggling with how to tell whether I've thinned my paints enough or too much. And I'm clearly still painting way too much blue around the feet. Fortunately, I think it's already looking a lot better than the first one. Obviously, I still have a long way to go. This is all just practice at this point, so I wanted to try out some highlighting techniques. I mixed some white in with some of my base coat colors to try to layer it on top and make certain areas pop, but I still don't really know what I'm doing. I think it helps, but it doesn't look quite like how I would like it to. Maybe I need to watch some tutorial on glow effects, though I think that's a few levels beyond me still. That said, I'm pretty happy with my progress. Side by side, I think the second one is looking a lot neater, but what do you think? Watch me get better at painting. I recently painted my first mini since coming back to the hobby after 17 years away. Right now, I'm trying to learn how to get my paints thinned properly for good base coats. I painted this mini next and was already able to be a lot neater. Since then, I've painted 3 more minis, the first 2 as a pair, and again, I think I showed some slow improvement. The biggest difference, however, came with my next one. I watched this guide from Brushstroke Painting on how to thin your paints, and it was the first tutorial that showed me what properly thinned paints should actually look like. Now that I knew what to look for, it was a lot easier to get a better consistency, and I think the result speaks for itself. I still have 5 other guys to paint, so we'll see how much better I can get by the time I'm done with them. Check out my other videos if you want to see more of me rebuilding my collection collection from scratch. I just got new units to add to my collection of Tau that I've started now that I'm getting back into Warhammer. I got these 3 stealth suits, which I already primed, a whole set of drones, which I'm only showing you 2 of, 4 Crisis battle suits, and a Cold Start commander that I love the look of. With the Crisis suits especially, I should be able to have a 1,000 point game soon. Watch me get better at painting. I recently painted my first mini since coming back to the hobby after 17 years away. Right now I'm trying to learn how to get my paints thinned properly for good base coats. I painted this mini next and was already able to be a lot neater. Since then, I've painted 3 more minis, the first 2 as a pair, and again, I think I showed some slow improvement. The biggest difference, however, came with my next one. I watched this guide from Brushstroke Painting on how to thin your paints, and it was the first tutorial that showed me what properly thinned paints should actually look like. Now that I knew what to look for, it was a lot easier to get a better consistency, and I think the result speaks for itself. I still have 5 other guys to paint, so we'll see how much better I can get by the time I'm done with them. Check out my other videos if you want to see more of me rebuilding my collection from scratch.